We live in a generation that's mastered pretending to be okay. We joke about pain, post highlight reels, and scroll past reality like it doesn't hurt. We've learned how to smile in group photos while feeling empty in private. Depression doesn't always look like crying in bed or being completely numb. Sometimes it looks like overworking, overthinking, and overcommitting. Anything to avoid sitting still with what's actually going on inside. It's the weight in your chest that you can't explain. A lot of people think depression only shows up in darkness, but sometimes it hides in bright rooms, fake laughter, and perfectly curated lives. Most of the time, it's all just a big show, and this is especially true on social media. This generation has seen more trauma, comparison, and confusion than we know how to process. Social media has had a huge impact on that as well, but underneath it all, there's something deeper. After reflecting, I like the way of defining it like this: a soul-level weariness we've normalized. The question is, what do we do with that pain? Where do we go when pretending isn't working anymore? If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Avi, and on this channel I share honest reflections about life, purpose, and growth. I'm not here as an expert, just someone processing out loud and sharing what I've learned along the way. My goal is to reach one soul with every post in hopes of offering encouragement right when they need it. So first thing is, ask yourself, is your smile a mask? Gotta drop that Bible in there. Proverbs 14:13 says, even in laughter, the heart may be in pain, and at the end of joy may be grief. Now, I'm not assuming you're in pain or depressed just because you clicked on this video, but I want to begin a process of reflection. Ask yourself, are you going through pain right now? Or has there been a time in your life you can remember when you had? Have you ever caught yourself smiling, laughing, or cracking jokes, but deep down you felt completely drained? What if the humor we lean on isn't always about joy, but it's a coping mechanism? Today, more than ever, we use sarcasm and memes to say what we're too afraid to admit out loud. We make funny reels to post on social media and Instagram to make light of the pain deep inside, and we think that's to help us cope with it, and then we act like we don't care. We make light of our pain with funny reels or viral posts, not because we don't care, but because deep down, we do care, actually a lot. We joke about what we long for, what we've lost, or what feels out of reach, because for a moment it makes the ache feel bearable, and that's why the proverb ends with, the end of joy may be grief. It's easier to be funny than honest. I do that a lot myself. I catch myself making light of tender situations because it's easier just not to talk about it. I've learned not to be so quick to judge anyone attached to this mindset though, because people are not shying away from it because they're fake, but because they don't know how to be real about their hurt and still feel safe. And now the question is, are the signs so easily visible? Now, I'm not a clinical psychologist, but I know the signs of depression can show up in almost any form, especially when someone isn't consciously aware of what they're struggling with. Depression doesn't always look like sadness or crying. Sometimes it looks like escapism, excessive work, gaming, pornography, irritability or anger, numbness or emotional shutdown, reckless behavior or impulsivity, isolation masked as needing space, substance abuse or addiction, cheating, compulsive sex, or seeking validation. I mean, there are so many examples. It just depends how that person wants to cope. Now, on the other hand, depression can wear many masks, including ones that look like confidence, success, or even rebellion. That's why healing often starts with compassion and curiosity, not just condemnation. I know this because I went through it myself. I was depressed and I didn't even realize it until years later. I can't tell you the exact moment it started. It just built up slowly over time because I kept ignoring the signs and what was really going on inside of me. So to cope, I smoked weed, I took Xanax, and staying stuck in toxic cycles with women. And what I'm talking about, and this may be relatable, is when you hook up with someone, stop talking for a while, and then out of nowhere, we're back hooking up. We hook up, it fades, and the cycle repeats. There's no real commitment, no real relationship. It's just an unhealthy cycle of meaningless sex or spending time together. I enjoyed the pleasures. I told myself it was helping, that it was medicating me. What I called coping was really destroying me from the inside out. So after a couple years of falling into these cycles and patterns of destruction in my heart and in my emotions, just left me with such low self-esteem that it, surprised, you guessed it, turned into depression. I didn't believe I was capable of anything more than the life I was living. I hated myself. I remember waking up in the morning and feeling this heavy sorrow in my chest, not just emotionally, but physically. And I remember so specifically, even to this day, the thoughts that ran through my head when I woke up and I felt that emotion in my chest. I just interpreted as, I wish I never woke up. I love this verse from Proverbs because I feel it's so relevant. It says, there is a path before each person that seems right, but it ends in death. If I only knew at the time how to deal with the trauma and the pain going on inside. But how could I know? I was so distracted by pursuing pleasures that I ran away from it. The path I was going seemed right because that was all I knew, and I was not aware that there was a better option. The war for my soul began the moment I realized I had to face the darkness inside of me. The hardest part and most terrifying terrifying battle we can fight is the one against ourselves, against our deepest fears. And the longer we avoid them, the stronger they grow and the harder they become to face. That's why when you talk to older people, they're stuck in their ways because they never uprooted that issue that was holding them back for so many years. And here we go. This is the hardest part, but we all know we have to do it. It's being ready to let go. There comes a moment when you realize that holding on is just slowly killing you. You replay old memories, cling to familiar habits, and stay connected to people that have no place in your future, all because letting go feels too much like loss. But the truth is, some of the things we're holding on to aren't blessings anymore. I learned the hard way that you can't step into who God made you to be while your hands are still gripping what He's trying to take away. Healing requires release. Freedom requires release. So, be ready to let go. I know it's way easier said than done, and you can't just do it if somebody's telling you to do it, or even if you're just telling yourself or forcing yourself to do it. It just doesn't work that way. I completely understand some people may not be ready for that as well, and that's okay too. However, what's important is that you begin the process. You begin to pray and ask God to remove these strongholds that have been weighing you down for so long. Eventually, you will get to the point where you become so fed up, you decide that enough is enough. Make the decision to let go of the habits that numb you, let go of the relationships that drain you, let go of the versions of yourself that no longer fit who you're becoming. And don't expect it to happen fast either. It's going to be a process and a season, but it will be worth it. Sometimes the very thing you're afraid to release is the only thing standing between you and the life you've been praying for. Stop trying to chase happiness, comfort, and distractions that look like relief, and chase freedom. So I know that was a lot. It's not an easy thing to talk about. What I want to do is I want to wrap up with one small but miraculous story that happened in my life. Like I mentioned earlier, I didn't even realize I was depressed until someone else asked me 5 years ago. My friend and his wife were driving me home one night. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I know I was quiet in the car on the ride home. At one point, his wife turned to me and asked me, "Have you ever dealt with depression?" I guess she just got some sense in her heart that I was dealing with it. The moment she said that, everything clicked. It was like a light went on in my head. I had never named it before, but I knew when she, of course, asked me. That's why it's so important to surround yourself with good people who see you and care enough to ask. So I responded, "Yeah, I have been depressed." And the conviction in my heart was so strong, I couldn't deny it. They asked me if they could pray for me. And I said, yeah, but I wasn't ready for what happened next. They didn't just say nice words. They went to war for my soul. I had never seen prayer like that before. I've never experienced that before. And I was just in a place where I was open to anything and everything because I had tried everything and nothing had worked. So as they prayed, I could physically feel a weight lifting off my shoulders. By the time they finished, I felt like I was 100 pounds lighter. I kid you not. Not just spiritually, but physically. That night I knew God had delivered me from depression, and I was never the same. And I believe the same can be true for you. And just to be clear, that doesn't mean I never feel sad anymore, or that I don't still face the temptation to spiral or choose to go back into the depression. But now I know where to go with that sadness, and I know that God holds me, and He cares for me, and He loves me. All right, so if you got this far, man, I just thank you so much for listening, and I hope in my prayer is that it would reach somebody and encourage someone, and it would be just what somebody needs in the right time. So if you're feeling, you're going through this process or you've gone through in the past, please leave a comment, leave a like, do whatever you need to get anything off your chest, and I will see you in the next one.